All right, so I'm working on making sort of a larger breakdown of this animation here, and until I get that done, and I'll be done in about a week or so, I just wanted to talk about how I was able to randomize, see if I can center this out here, how I was able to randomize the symbols and the colors on the keys. And this is something that I did in geometry nodes in terms of the setup of the objects, but this is all done with a shader. So when we're done here, we're going to have something like this, where 1W is going to be able to actually randomize the placement of your different symbols, and this one is going to play with your color. So some things that you're going to need for this tutorial. Some symbols. So it could literally be letters. I'm going to open up Photoshop and just kind of show you what I did. You can also do this in Blender. So I'm going to get a new file, and we're just going to make it 500 by 500. It really does not need to be big. I'm going to do 75 on the resolution. So, wow, I'm not sure what I did there. Oh, 200. All right. So what I did was I created 4 flat exports of images. And so in this case, I'm just going to go with like 5. Just a number or a letter, and then make it black. White background, black, or you can do black background, white, and then just get 4 of these. And what mine ended up looking like were these. So, and then do we go backwards? Yep. We're gonna leave it in. That. So those were what my can't get over it. I forgot that was on my desktop. All right, so this is what we're going to be done with. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this on my other monitor. And all right, so what we're going to do, we're just going to do the very rudimentary steps in the official breakdown of that animation. We're going to get much more detailed. But in this case, we're just going to get a cube. I'm going to hit tab and then get that anchor point to be at the bottom. I was holding down control and brought it up. And then I'm just going to bring it down like this and then hit S. Now that's your key, and I applied scale. Control A, apply that scale. Now I'm also going to go ahead, hit the tilde key, try to hit the tab key, go up. I'm going to hit U to unwrap and do a project from view. I know that's kind of not normal for this, but it works out. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and get a plane. Really, any geometry works. We're going to hop into geometry nodes and do a very simple setup of the keys. So we're going to get a grid. We're going to scale it by 5 and vertices of 8. That's going to get to look like that. And then we just need to get an instance on points. Instance on points. And then we're going to go up here, see where the cube is. Just drag it straight in. So cube there. And then there we go. We're going to do that. All right. And then we need to get a set material. Set material node. Click new and then select that right there. Now we can hop into shading. And just because I feel like I have to do it, I'm going to throw a bevel. I'm going to throw a bevel on my keys as well. Right click, shade smooth. All right. Now they look good. Let's head into shading and make this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill this window, and we're going to also kill this window. I'm going to have my composition this way for my nodes. It's going to make my life a little easier. We're going to go to the shader editor. So now that we have this guy clicked on, I'm going to get my world brightness. This is all just preferential. So let's go ahead and figure this out. So the background of my keys is going to be just kind of this off-white color. We're going to go ahead and get a mix shader. And we're also going to go ahead and get black for the actual icons. So let's do that. Now let's do the initial icon setup. So we need to get a mix color. Plug that here. Let's get an image texture. Now you'll need to have the Node Wrangler add-on enabled. Just comes to Blender by default. We're going to hit Control T using UVs because we did do some unwrapping. So we're going to plug this into socket A. And then I'm just going to go ahead and open my first key symbol. So this is the only real initial setup we have to do. So I'm going to go to the top here, and then on my scale, we're just going to scale in. It is strangely mixing. There we go. Okay. But we won't have to worry about that once we plug in the other. So we're just going to go ahead and scale down our objects and then play with your X. All right, so see how it's kind of mixing together? You can just bring that B up to white, and that'll kind of fix that there. So you can play with your X, Y, and Z, and then you're going to go ahead and scale your symbols down, and then play with the, well, not even the Z, just the X and the Y. And this is, you know, not always the greatest way to do it, but it can be kind of difficult and annoying. But go ahead, and I'm just going to scale these things down for myself till I like the size of it. So, oh, nice. All right. So I'm going to hit the tilde key, go to the very top so we can make sure it's centered out. Okay, so this is the only really initial setup we need to do. And what we need to do now is go ahead and just duplicate this. In fact, no. Control-Shift-D on that image texture, and then click the number 2, and go ahead and select your next symbol, and then plug that into the other color. So then you'll see them mixing right on top. See how that is? So what do we need to do to get them to mix properly? Well, we're going to get some randomness here. So noise texture to supply the randomness, object info to recognize that these are all different objects, and use the random socket, plug that into the factor. And then we need to get one more thing. See how they're doing that? We need to get in a color ramp and see how they're blending. To prevent the blend, use constant, and then throw that right there. And so now you can see it working. And if you take this noise texture and go to 4D, it'll actually control, well, it'll give you a randomness seed, which is what the W does. So see how it's moving around like that. In this case, we're going to keep it on 3D. And let's see. Do I like the distribution? All right, cool. So now that we have this whole setup, it's very easy now to go ahead and steal it for the other two images. So Shift D and bring it up. And then this will have to come up too, just so we can see it. And then we'll just take this mix right here. So this whole setup, and we'll actually group it for you so that you can see it better. So I will highlight, Control G. Oops. Is it J? Yeah, okay, Control J. So that is the first two. And then this guy's going to connect them. So we're actually going to put him on the bottom socket and then plug him here in the top socket. So you have this whole setup. This whole thing will control these visible. And then what I'm going to do is just go ahead and I'm going to click the number 2 and select the heart. And you go ahead and pick, select your third object, your third image, and we're going to pick that little asterisk or whatever. So now we can just go ahead and group these as well for our own understanding. Cool. All right. And so now this guy, you can see how they're mixing together. So now this guy is going to depict between the two. And then we'll do the exact same thing. We need to also randomize the placement of each of these groups. And that is going to literally be 1, Control C, Control V, and plug that into the mix. And so now this is where we'll play with 4D. This is kind of the time we want randomness, because the other are already randomized, and unless you're a control freak, you'll be okay. And then you can just kind of play with all of them. Now they're all here. Now let's just focus on color. This is the easiest part. We're going to go ahead and get a color ramp. And then I'm going to hover over here, hit Control C, Control V there, plug it in. And then let's get 3 colors. So I'm going to get kind of a, let's see, kind of a burnt orange. And forgive the noise you can hear in the hallway. Hopefully you can't hear that, but if you do, can't do much about it. We'll get kind of a pastel blue, and then we're going to go here to constant again to ensure there's no gradient mixing, because that's just not going to be what we want. Let's get a noise texture. Set that to 4D. Let's get an object info. Actually, we can just go ahead and use the object info from up here. Plug that into noise texture. Plug this here. And then see how it's applying the color there? Let's just go ahead and swap these. So plug him on this bottom socket, him on the top socket. Just invert what you had going on the mix shader. All right, cool. Took a second to load. All right, so now that we have this, we can just go ahead and start introducing all of our colors. And now we have what we wanted. So you can play with the color and the randomness there, and play with the randomness on the keys there, and you can animate this as well, which is really fun. And there you have it. And if you just want to have some fun, I haven't done this before, but if we really crunch in an ease gradient, does it look like they morph into each other, the symbols? I am curious. So if we look at that, since they're hard edges, it probably won't be as cool. No, okay. Not as cool. But there it is. We built it. That is how you create this whole randomness setup. And yeah, we'll go ahead and break down like that whole kind of keyboard look. I haven't finished the design totally, but I think this is really beneficial for you guys to kind of know and create randomness in a node structure. And that's it, guys. I'll see you in the next tutorial.